Thanks for joining me today. We'll be making a slimline cart using this gorgeous set from Close to My Heart called Oh Hey There. All the items that I am using today will be listed and linked in the description below. Okay, so I've taken a standard Australian DL size envelope and taken the dimensions from that to form the base, work out what the base of card needs to be. So I've taken a piece of white daisy cardstock, 21 by 19 centimetres. In inches, that's 8 1/4 by 7 1/2. Then taking my scorer, I've got my scoring thing on there, not the blade, and I'm scoring down the long edge at 9.5 centimetres in. This forms the spine of my card, and then I'll take my bone folder and I will just burnishing that off to give it a nice crisp fold. And there you have your card base ready to go. Now taking a piece of pattern paper from the mixed in paper packet in the September-October catalogue. This piece is 20.5 by 9 centimetres, or if you're in inches, it's 3 1/2 by 8 inches. Adhering that to the card base with my adhesive runner. I'm then going to take 2 pieces of white daisy cardstock, 7.5 by 8 centimetres, 3 inch by 3 1/4 inch. I'm also taking, I've decided to use today the bunny and a cute little monkey. And I'm going to use the sentiment swinging by to say hello because I think that's really cute. So I'm taking my acrylics block and I am just placing my monkey onto the block. We're going to be using Memento ink today in Tuxedo Black because we're going to be colouring with alcohol markers, and this type of ink along with the Close to My Heart Intense Black are used for this purpose because the alcohol markers then won't bleed or into the lines when you're colouring. So that's important that you're using the right stuff. I've also don't have my Versamat with me, so I've taken the sponge that comes with every stamp set and I'm laying that under my paper so that when I stamp I just get a little bit more pressure and push back and make sure I get a really clear image. So now I'm taking my bunny. Now to be honest, I should have gone for a larger block for this bunny, but once you've set up filming, it's pretty hard to then go rummaging around for another block. So anyway, I'm going to make this work. So I'm inking him up with the Memento Tuxedo Black ink, and I am also going to stamp him on the other piece of white daisy, and again I'm using that sponge, just to get a little bit, make sure I get that perfect crisp impression. So I've now got my 2 gorgeous little critters stamped. For some reason I am wiping off my bunny with my stamp chamois, and as much as I love my stamp chamois, I don't need to because I need to stamp him straight away. I am now stamping him on a post-it note because I am going to make a mask. Okay, so I'm going to stamp him as close to the sticky strip so that I've got sticky underneath him so he'll stay in place. The reason I want to make a mask is because I'm going to do some sponging. I want to sponge a background behind them, so I want to keep my initial stamped image completely clear and safe from the sponging. Now when you're cutting out a mask, it's really important to cut right on the line. Inside the line you're going to get a white glow, inside the line you're going to get ink bleeding into your image, and outside the line you're going to get a bit of a white glow. So make sure that you are doing that. I'm using my micro tip scissors here. I have to say I'm so impressed with them. They don't get gummed up at all. Okay, I just ripped a piece of paper because I wanted to make him look like he is sitting in a hill. So I've taken some distress ink, I think it's peeled paint. I wanted to use the evergreen, but it was just a bit too dark. So anyway, I'm sponging, being very careful. There's little bits that aren't stuck, they might lift up, so you've got to be really careful to push down in the spot where you're sponging at that time. To be honest, if I was going to be masking this sort of detailed image again, I would use some masking paper. The good old Post-it note is really good for simple shapes, but yeah, ears and limbs and things. This is tumble grass that I'm using for the sky here. Now, I'd learnt my lesson from the mask that I'd used for the bunny, so I decided to do a partial mask of the tree and the top of his legs, and then a separate one for down the bottom. And so you can see that tree is sticking on really nicely and isn't going to move. I also cut, just eyeballed it, drew it, cut it, a little cloud-like shape from a Post-it note, again on the paper that's got the sticky underneath it. And I've laid that down, and I am now going to sponge some sky with the tumble glass ink. Now, you've got to be really careful. If you push too far hard in against that paper, it can peel up and you'll get a bleed. So I tend to sort of do a bit more of a pouncing motion when I'm going over the mask. So usually I would be rubbing in a circular motion, but I don't want anything to move, so I'm sort of pouncing around it, especially in the really intricate areas. So I've put another cloud on just to give the image a little bit more interest, and I'm just going to finish up sponging. Just you can see his little foot's moving around there, so it'll be a miracle if there isn't bleed underneath this image, but I'm doing my best. Like said again, it's a great example for Gina K's masking paper, because I could have really done with some, and I will be buying some as soon as I can. Post-it notes work fine for simple images. Lesson learned, Lisa. Okay, so then, like I said, I made a separate mask for the bottom bit so that he'd have some sticky on him. Unfortunately, we had a little incident and his arm fell off. So, poor little guy. Anyway, we've popped that arm back on, and he just carried on like a little trooper while I got the bottom of this image done. It's just, yeah, this sort of thing that's going to happen if you're trying to use Post-it. But anyway, like I said, you can see I'm pouncing a bit to finish the sponging here. But all said and done, I think it turned out pretty good. There's nothing more refreshing when you've done a bit of masking and then you get to peel off the mask and see what has been left behind. And voila, you have a beautiful crisp cloud and a monkey with a broken arm, but I promise you he healed okay. No animals were damaged or injured during the making of this video, I promise. So now I've got my images ready to colour, which I'm going to be colouring with alcohol markers. I'm going to speed up this process, and I will put all the colours that I have used and for what down in the description below. I'm using clay for the monkey's head. I think I used mahogany for his body. And then for his face, I used Barely Beige. And for his the little leaves, I think I used Sap Green. Doing a little bit of shading with a darker brown on the branch. And he's nearly done. So I'm pretty happy with those. So it's time for my sentiment. So I'm picking that up on my acrylic block, which, by the way, is way too big for that sentiment. It's always better to use a block as close to the size of your stamp as possible. But again, I didn't want to go up from my desk going to look for more sentiments. So I'm adhering the two little monkey and the bunny to the card front. And then I'm going to line up my sentiment, and then I decided I would just dovetail the ends to create like a banner to place in the middle of these two guys. Then I thought I need to raise it up, so I went and grabbed my phone tape for this purpose. I love this stuff. Again, everything I'm using is linked and enlisted and linked below in the descriptions. So I'm nearly finished this card, so we're getting to the end where we, just cutting off. I believe I've cut the foam type lengthways to make it two thin strips. I think that was from another project, so I'm just using up the little bits. So, swinging by to say hello. Hello. How cute are they? I wanted to make it look like the monkey was swinging down about to grab the bunny's ears. And look, I think that's a super cute card. I'm pretty happy with it. Thank you for joining us today. I've enjoyed this video. Thank you for staying at the end. If you haven't done so already, please hit subscribe. I really appreciate your support, and it enables me to bring more tutorials to you like this one. And I'm hoping to do another Slimline card soon using Distress Oxide inks, so look out for that one. Thanks guys, have a great weekend. Alright.